This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Stephen Swifty Smith on the back of an announcement you made recently. Swifty, you've decided to make it official. You will be retiring from professional boxing. We spoke in Texas when Callum fought Canelo. You said to me back then you knew kind of what was what with your career. You're just getting the words out, making it official. You've done so now. So just talk to me about the decision to do so.
Yeah, do you know, I've known for a while I weren't going to fight again. I wouldn't do it if I couldn't be 100%, and I don't think I would have been. The time out with, all this COVID and stuff, I don't think it helped me. So yeah, as I say, when I was in Texas, I spoke to yourself. I said then, I think I know my family know I'm done, but I just don't think I'm going to announce anything. And I never really had any intention of doing so, but it was more so the fact that I just keep getting messages asking me, and constantly saying, nah, I think I'm done. And then it was the anniversary of my debut. So I literally was just out in the car, and then pulled over, and I was just like, started just putting a memory popped up, and I just started putting a picture up saying, wow, 13 years ago, made my pro debut. And when I went on it, I had a few inboxes asking me again. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to announce it. And I put like, good time as any to say I'm officially like retired. I won't be boxing again. And then it was mad because as I started writing it, I felt like a bit like emotional, like wow, like didn't think I'd feel like this, do you know what I mean? And then I finished it, said a few thank yous to the people who've all been there and helped me in the past and stuff. I owe them a lot. And just put my phone in my pocket then. And then I got in later on that evening, and Jade was like, "There's all give me a hug," and that. I was like, "What's happening here?" And then when I went on my Instagram up, I seen the first thing I seen was a post off Liam congratulating me, and that, and I thought, wow. So like I just commented on like I love that, and then I opened my own inbox up and seen all the comments, and it's quite overwhelming to be honest. I was like saying to Jade, "I want to go up and have a lie down, read these," but I was like, I was filling up a little bit, like wow, especially if someone like the people I've got a lot of respect for or sending lovely messages there, really meant a lot.
Stephen, when you made the announcement, you mentioned, you went back onto Instagram, you saw comments from Liam and I know your other family members, your brothers,
Yeah.
and what have you, have put posts up themselves. But did they have any idea that a post was coming, that you'd officially announced it?
No, not at all. I never said to no one. I never had no intention. It was literally just like I went on my Instagram, and I thought to do a post about like when the memories pop up on my debut, and I thought to do a little post about it. And then because I had all the messages, I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna basically announce it now and just like get it done with. Like people close to me now, I've been sort of in my own mind. Even yourself, I know I was done anyway, but I just thought, you know what, I'll make it official, announce it so other people know, and basically just even if it just stops the messages, then it's a win-win.
How much has it been playing on your mind as to when you was going to make an announcement, or was you still in the back of your mind, even after we'd spoken in Texas, was you still contemplating if an opportunity might present itself? Was you going to the gym at all? How much were you thinking about making this announcement prior to it?
No, I've never had any intention of announcing that, and it was just not like sort of like something I was ever going to do anyway. I'd already put on my bio and stuff on my Insta. I'm a retired boxer. I was already in my own mind. I was retired. I told my family I wasn't going to box again. And my coach and I knew I haven't been going to the gym. I haven't been doing any training. So, I was already retired, but just basically hadn't let people know who were interested and who'd probably been going to watch me box, which was probably, I thought at the time, you know what, maybe it's wrong of me. I should have, even just the thank you just will mean something to some people who've paid their own money to come and watch me box. I thought when I was doing it, when I was writing it, I felt like quite emotional writing it, but I thought, nah, I know what, I owe them this. There's people who've been to, near and for me fights, and I've boxed in places all around the world, like Vegas, Connecticut, Monte Carlo. So people who've been traveling and watched me fight. So I owe them a lot as well as people close to me.
Stephen, obviously, I know COVID didn't help your situation. You came back after that horrific ear injury. You had a few fights in a short space of time, and you was really looking up. And I actually remember on the back of your last one, I think it was Johnny Phillips, your last bout, you said that was it, Ben. That was a time for you to kind of be let off the leash and just give you one final go, start getting into more competitive fights. How difficult has it been to know that effectively COVID has taken away what could have been your last ride of your career, shall we say?
Yeah, do you know what? It's tough. And again, looking back on it, I remember the time of like the first lockdown. I was literally woke up in the morning, I was lying in bed, and I said to Jay, like, I think I'm retired. And she was like, what? I went, I just can't see boxing getting back to what it was. And like, I didn't even see them, like, you know, them garden shows and stuff like that. I didn't see anything happening with boxing. You know, the way they were making out like the pandemic was, I couldn't see boxing happening. So I was thinking, I think I'm done. You know, I was 34 at the time, 35 now, and it's not really the right time to be having time out in your career. So I have knew and started coming to terms with it that I might be retired. So I've known over the last 12 months it could be the end anyway. So again, it probably helped me in a way, getting it ready in my mind, knowing that it was coming. But again, I can't sit and feel sorry for myself, because I feel more sorry for the people at the start of the career. I'd rather this happened. If you'd offered me at the start of my career, look, you're going to have a pandemic where you're going to have 18 months to 2 years out. I'd rather it be the end than, you know, early in my career. Like, I feel so sorry for these kids now who are making weight and trying and they're still growing. You know, they're waiting on Olympic Games, who were just being put back anyway, and you know, all the uncertainty of it. I can't imagine what they're going through. The lads going to the Olympics. So I feel worse for the likes of them and people who are at the start of the career who wanting to keep learning and want to showcase the talent. Whereas, you know, I was at the end anyway. So it sort of robbed me of my last hurrah type of thing. I wanted one more big fight, one more shot at the title or something, and see what was there and see whether I could win it. But again, I'd have took that rather than missing out the early days.
Stephen, you're mentioning how you'd rather it have had been at the end of your career instead of a beginning. Obviously, you was a decorated amateur. You achieved a lot back then, and you still achieved a lot, obviously, in the professional ranks as well. But just to kind of reflect on your career, going back over your amateur days, over 150 fights, you know, what do you recollect from it all? I imagine, obviously, the Commonwealth Games being the pinnacle looking back.
Yeah, it was always a highlight for me, you know, especially being I won a gold in Melbourne. So we'd be on the other side of the world. My dad and a couple of uncles come and watch me, but other than that, all my family were at home. And I know with my fights, I was on in the afternoon sessions all the time over there. So people were getting up in the early hours and watching me back home. And it meant a lot to me knowing that they were up and watching and stuff. And it gave me a lot of pride knowing that, like, I did it and I won the gold, especially after, you know, Paul got silver in Manchester 4 years before me. And I remember being there. And he lost in the final to John Pascal, who was a great fighter. But I remember after he lost, I was crying my eyes out. It hurt me probably more than everyone else there. I was just one of them where I remember the feeling, thinking, wow. And then having won it 4 years later, it meant it was more special probably because of that. That I went and won it, and I know my family were watching. It was definitely a highlight in my amateur career, but I've got so many good memories of the amateurs because I got to see the world, I travelled the world, and so many countries I boxed in, like places I never would have went to, you know, like the World Juniors in South Korea, and I boxed in New Delhi. I won a gold medal in a multis in New Delhi there, and places like Finland, and that. There's places I probably would never have seen if it weren't for boxing, and I'm thankful for that. But it was more like the camaraderie and like the mates I met and the people who I travelled with. You know, you travel the world and you're giving everything you've got to a sport for the sake of a little medal, and that's when you know it's to do with the enjoyment and what you get out of it, rather than being money involved.
That's something I wanted to ask you about now. I've asked Paul this. I've done the same with Matt Macklin. Obviously, I know what it can be like, you know, when you're going around the world with your friends, away from when you're fighting, when you have some downtime. What are kind of the funny moments you will have that you can recollect that you and some of the other guys might have gotten up to?
There's loads of funny stories and memories. I mean, my memory's not the best, but loads of funny things that have happened. And a mad one, like with me, I remember I went to a tournament and I turned up. I was in a multis. I'm sure we were in Poland. I can't remember. You probably remember Frankie Gavin and one about. And I turned up to a multis and I was at my fight and I had no gum shield. was just like, must have left it in the hotel. So Frankie goes, yeah, throws me his, and I boxed him his gum shield. ends up me and him both won. I had his gum shield on. So like just a mad little story like that, where loads of little funny tales of what like stuff what happened. And being in a multi-nations with I was in a room with my mate Joe Selke, and obviously the making weight was always hard. I always struggled for weight, and I remember I boxed 3 in 3 days. So I got there the first day. I was in the quarterfinals against the Polish kid. So I had to skip off, made the weight, fought that afternoon, got out the ring, done some pads and stuff, got back to my room that night, got weighed. I put my gear on, and I used to go in the bathroom and switch the shower on, shut the door, and make like a little bit of a homemade steam room type of thing. And we just put my sweat gear on. I used to run in front of the shower, just on the spot, just throwing punches to lose weight. So I done it in the quarters that night, won the quarters, weighed weight that night. Next day, got up, weighed in, had a little bit to eat, won the semis, same, got out the ring, done some pads, got back to my room, got weighed, had a bit to go. So shower on and that, like a steam room, made the weight. So for the final the next day, I remember going in, weight, got up in the morning, goes, weighs in, come back to my room, goes in the toilet in my room to go to the toilet, and I had to shut the door. The ceiling fell in on me, and with the Stephen, again, the cake in the room, like running in, seeing what's happened, and the ceiling had fell in the bathroom, just like loads of mad little memories, what I'll keep forever, but probably some of the best memories I've got being travelling away with the lads.
Talks about the return to pro ranks, Stephen. How did you initially find it, and obviously making your debut back in 2008?
I enjoyed it. It was different. I mean, I had a really good amateur career, and it probably put me in good stead for the pros, in terms of people like most people knew who I was when I turned over, and probably was a bit of an expectancy from me. But it was chalk and cheese to, the 4-2s amateurs. What I was so good at was sort of like fencing, was like computer scoring and stuff, and it was so different to the pros, which I think is a good thing now. What they've done, they've made the amateurs, the senior amateurs, like 3-3s, and now God, it's more suited to the pros. So the transition's not as big now as what it was back then for us. So I remember going in the gym, and I spent a lot of time with Georgie Vaughan and just listening to him, and he used to tell me a lot of little pointers about how to adjust my style and how to be. He said it's not all about like everyone thinks the pro's got to plant their feet and got to walk around the ring, and he was like, you've got where you've got by using your boxing ability. You don't lose that. You just got to make a few adjustments and make a few steps rather than jumping around the ring. And I took a lot in from George, and I used to like just listening to him, and his knowledge of boxing was unbelievable. And I learned a lot and felt like I'd done the transition quite good. And once the pros started, I think I won my first 4 by knockout, and I remember being on the phone to Dean Powell and Frank Warren saying like basically I wanted to be stepped up quite quick. I didn't really enjoy boxing, the journeyman. I think they're good for the game. I think they do the job and they help, but I didn't feel like I was learning too much from having so many amateur fights at such a high level. I don't feel like I was probably picking up bad habits by just being able to hit someone and not really getting it back. So I wanted to be put in the title level quite quick just to see how I was done really.
Stephen, you mentioned kind of the expectations on you when you turned over to the pro ranks because of what you'd achieved as an amateur. I spoke to Galal Yafai. I know you've got a brilliant relationship with the Yafai brothers. I spoke to Galal yesterday, and he said kind of, in his case, going to the Olympics, how important it could be to get a medal with promoters then, and offers that could be offered to them. Just for yourself, how difficult was it not to have qualified for an Olympics?
It killed me at the time. I know all the sayings, like I have an absolute reason and all that, but it means nothing to you at the time. I remember just sitting on the floor and my world was over. It was more sort of fact that it was a terrible decision as well. What happened to me, like I remember going out, especially I boxed the German kid to qualify, and I felt like I had to go first round, come back, and I remember Terry in the corner saying, Terry had said you won down. I was like, okay, didn't think that, but okay. I went out and had a good second round, come back, and he said you won down. Like, what's happening? Third round, a proper like goes for it. Empty the tank, goes for him. He got up, a warning for holding, which was 2 points added onto my score, and then like the computer scored the way it was. So rather than take a point, they add 2 onto your score, and then it gives them a standing count, which is, you know, like a knockdown in the amateurs. Comes back after round 3 thinking, I've turned it around now. And sat down on the stool and he said, "You're not going to believe it." I was like, "Oh, don't." He said, "You're 2 down." I was like, I don't know, like, I couldn't fathom it on my head. I just like going into the round 1 down, you know, told I shouldn't have been. And I hammered him in the 3rd round. He's had 2 points added onto my score as well as like the knockdown, and I'm still down. And I chased him around the ring the last round. I ended up losing by 5. So I just couldn't get my head around it, and I got out and I was just felt like I was done. And coming home, it was just like made the decision. Obviously, easy to turn, but I weren't going to stay and wait another 4 years. I was done, but it never made it any easier for me. You know, I wished all the lads well who went to the Olympics, but it was always hurting me that I wasn't there with them. Yeah.
Stephen, to circle back to your pro career and onto your first kind of your Commonwealth and then your British title successes, both against John Simpson, just
Yeah.
kind of reflecting on them, what did it mean for you to collect those belts and in particular the British title?
A lot. The Lonsdale belt's obviously a famous one, and every boxer wants to win it. You know, some people have that as their aim. Obviously, I was aiming past it, but always wanted to make sure I win it. And I remember, as I say, when I was getting on the phone over stepping up all the time, and I had an English title fight lined up for my 10th fight, and the kid pulled out just before it, so I was a bit like, it's down after the fight, and then he said, "Look, you can box John Simpson for the Commonwealth title up in Glasgow." And I was like, "Yeah," straight away. And he was like, "Well, have a talk, see what you think about it," you know, because you're going up to his backyard and stuff, and Ricky Baines was fighting for the world title, so he'll be quite hostile. And I was like, no, I definitely want to do it, yeah. So I remember going away, training for that, and it was supposed to be on July 17th. So I booked a holiday for the 21st to go to Mexico, me and Jade. I never had no kids at the time. And my birthday was the 22nd, so I thought, nice little birthday away. I've just won a title and that'll be all be good, you know what I mean? And they can't postpone the bill to September the 4th. So I was like, I don't know what I was going to do. And thought, you know what, I'll still go away. I'll just train while I'm away. So I went to Mexico with Jade. Remember the first day I get up and I travels into like downtown Mexico trying to find a boxing gym. She ends up meeting this fella who took me to a gym. It's like a Cuban coach there. So I was getting picked up at 7 every morning, getting brought to his gym and training with this Cuban coach. So he goes to me like, "Look, you can enter the championships here." And I was like, "I'm professional, I can't do that." And he was like, "No, don't worry." I was like, "Nah, no chance." And I'm like, I don't know whether something had happened to me back home. So what happened was, in the end, we ended up going along. I was watching sort of like, I don't know what it was, the Mexican like ABAs or whatever. And every time a kid won, I was like the light welters and stuff like that. That week I was getting them in the gym and having like exhibitions with them in like this place by the gym. So I ended up having about 5 exhibitions over there with all kids out the Mexican ABAs at 10 stone. You know, I was boxing a feather. And just a boss experience. I really enjoyed it. I come home, fit as anything, and then obviously went on to box Simpson in Glasgow. And I was happy I did do the training because it ended up being my first 12 rounds, and it was at a hot environment, as you say, and I enjoyed the fight, but it was tough.
You fought for Commonwealth. You then fought him for the British. Going on forwards, I just want to reflect on the defeat to Lee Selby.
Yeah.
What went wrong in that fight?
Not listened. I can't take not from him. He beat was in front of him, but it was sort of a similar thing again with I was supposed to box July the 9th against an African kid. I was boxing. So I'm training for that. I goes away. Matthew Macklin was fighting Felix Sturm in Germany. So I was with Joe Gallagher by then, and goes away with Joe. He had Macklin away, so he was there for a week with him. So he said, "I'll fly out, I'll watch Macklin anyway, and I'll train while I'm there." So goes out there. Crawler was with me, so we were sparring in the gym while we were there and stuff, keeping me camp going. So I was fighting July the 9th. And then we gets back from Macklin's team. get in the gym on the Monday, the week of the fight, and same again, the bill's being cancelled. I was like, what? He said, they're cancelling the 9th bill. And what they're going to do, they're going to join all the bill and they're going to put everyone on the July the 16th. But I couldn't do that. I was best man at Paul's wedding on July the 16th. It was the day Paul was getting married. So I was like, I can't fight then. He said, okay, we'll put you on the first bill in September. So same again, I've done a full camp for nothing. So he said, we'll put you on the bill in September. So it was just a case of that again, sort of like carry on training what we would do. You know, it wasn't really enough time to stop and start. It was like 5 weeks, but thought I'll ease down and then up the camp again. And I don't know, it's just one of them. I felt like I overtrained. I felt like in the end I was training for about 17 weeks for a fight. And I reckon I knew in the changing rooms when I was warming up, when you're hitting the pads and just nothing's there. But, you know, no one pulls out of a fight because they didn't feel well warming up, you know what I mean? It just doesn't happen. But everything's easy in hindsight looking back. But, you know, I got in, I still tried, I still gave it everything I had. I remember sitting down in the stool and looking at the ring card girl walking around with what round it was. It was round 3, and I was thinking, why am I this tired and why am I looking what round it is? You know what I mean? When I've done 2 rounds and it's like, wasn't in me. But again, it's one of them things. It's sort of a life lesson, and it's something that I look back on and I just think, you know what, you've got to just sort of get over it and move on. Otherwise, you keep beating yourself up. You're never the same again.
Fast forwards again, you go and pick up the British title against Gary Buckland, and then moving on to your world title fight, Jose Pedraza first and foremost. Just reflecting on it, Stephen, how would you look back at it, on it?
Another one where, you know what, I think got to give him credit. I think he was a good fighter. Obviously, he's a 2-weight world champion now, and he's going for his 3rd weight world title. So, you know, wish him all the luck in the world. But he was a really good fighter. I remember he was the only person ever in my career where I trained that the preparation for him was tough because he boxes orthodox southpaw tools. I remember getting like southpaws in, like my mate Tom Stalker was coming in. I had a cope from Newcastle coming down the southpaws, but then I was having to do the orthodox stuff as well. So we done loads of sparring for that camp because trying to cover all bases and that. And you know, preparation wise, was probably the most difficult in my career. But then I remember getting in the fight. It was the only time in my life where about around 3 or 4 or something, I remember thinking in my head, you're better than the videos, like the videos what I've seen of him and the times I've saw him. I remember thinking, now you're better than what I thought you was. Doing like a little move where I backed him up to the ropes and he sort of stepped twice, and then before I knew it was behind me. And I was like, he hasn't even threw a shot. No, like he done little things where I learned a lot in the ring with him, but I also gave him a lot of credit that he was better than what I thought he was. And again, a good fight. My preparations were good, and I gave it everything I had on the night. I just, when the bell went, I didn't think I won, and you know, hats off to him. He was the better man on the day.
When you move forwards again, and the other world title fight in your career, the Jason Sosa one. Just again, reflecting on it, Stephen, what are your thoughts now?
The Sosa one probably hurt me more. The fact that I was convinced before it I'd win, even though like it was just the way things happened. I went to Vegas. Liam was boxing Canelo, so we all went to Vegas for a week. We thought initially the fight was going to be in Vegas, so we all booked Vegas, and then it ended up being Dallas. So we had a week in Vegas, flew down to Dallas for the fight, flew back, and then finished off the week in Vegas, and then flew home. So we had a week in Vegas with all my mates and that, you know, having a drink and stuff. And then it comes home. Liam fought Canelo September 17th. So comes home a few days later, goes to the weigh-in in Manchester for Crolla and Nares, which was September 24th. So gets the press conference of the weigh-in, September 23rd, and goes in, and Eddie was like, listen, the Sousa fight, Monte Carlo, November 10th or 11th, November 10th, I think it was. I was like, yeah, okay. And we're like counting on my fingers, thinking how many weeks is it? It was like 5 weeks or something. Thinking like, oh, wish you told me before I went to Vegas, know what I mean? But I thought, no, what? I think everything happens for a reason. Let's just do it. See how fit I can get, how quick I can get fit. And I was just going out running every morning, like 6 in the morning, coming back, going up the gym with Joe, doing what we do in the gym, and then doing my track work in the afternoon. I was saying like 3 times a day for that fight. And again, another one, I got in unbelievable shape. I was fit. It was a good hard 12-round fight. And you seen the shape I was in. I got fit quite quick for it. Give everything I had, and I give everything I had on the night as well. I just think little bits of bad luck here and there where, you know, there was a knockdown in round 2, which he didn't even hit me with a punch. He stood on my foot, and you can see it when you watch it back. But the referee on the night gave a knockdown, and whether that threw me or affected me, I don't know. But just little things like that didn't really go for me. But it was a good, hard fight. And, you know, a lot of like the comments what I've got from me the time and post, a lot of people mention that and like, oh wow, still watch that Souza fight now, great fight and stuff. And one of the best fights in my career to watch for a neutral, do you know what I mean? But wasn't the result I wanted. Even though beforehand I was convinced the style suited me quite well. I thought, this is it, you know what I mean? That was for a reason, short notice. And if I could pick a style of fighter to box against, it'd be sort of like a short, strong fighter, you know what I mean? That would be my style to go against. Going into the fight, aside from the Jason Walters draw, he'd knocked his last 14 wins out, so I knew he could punch. You know what I mean? You don't do that at super featherweight unless you're a banger. And when I was in there, he could punch, but it was just sort of like kept going with him and thinking, nah, look, he'll break. This is a good pace to fight. I thought he won't outlast me, and you know, hats off to him. It was a good hard fight again. But when the bell went to the end, I thought he got it. So, you know, there was no complaints.
Do you hold any regrets from your pro career, except for obviously what might be through COVID?
Yeah. Listen, like the only things that I can't control, again, a little bit of luck here and there, or you know, COVID. There's nothing I can do about that. Regarding myself, no, I can honestly. Same as the night after that fight, the Souls fight. I remember lying in bed that night in like a suite in this big hotel. It was a lovely room, and I remember lying down that night. And a lot of the times after fights, I don't sleep more when you're full of adrenaline and stuff. And I remember getting in bed that night with Jade, and I just remember like looking at her and just saying like, you know what, I couldn't have given no more. And it's a good feeling to have, even though it's not nice you've lost. It's a good feeling to know that, you know what, in me training and in the night, I couldn't have given no more. So what you can't control really is nothing to do with you. There's nothing you can do about that. But regarding myself, again, going back on my career, I don't think I'm not one of them who could look back and go, do you know what, if I trained hard or if I tried this or tried this, I done everything I could to give everything my heart. It just didn't happen for me in the world title fight. But other than that, you know, there's nothing really I could have done more. I can't change the fact that COVID came at the end and stuff like that. So yeah, I can hold my head up and I can be proud of what I've done.
Stephen, just a final fight to touch on the Francisco Vargas loss, obviously that horrible ear injury. How often do you watch it back? How often do you look back at that?
Never. I don't ever watch any of my fights back, to be honest with you. I don't really watch boxing anymore, to be honest. I'm not really. I used to be as a kid, I used to be like encyclopedia. I'd know every fight and I used to watch them all the time. And I don't watch it so much no more, but I don't really watch myself. I don't know. I'm not one of them who'll sit and watch them, but I still get tagged in like pictures and little videos of it happening of now and then off people. But you know, regarding memories on the night, I've sort of been with my dad about this before. I remember being in my hotel room the morning of the weigh-in or the night before the weigh-in. I was just checking my weight on the scales, and I remember looking and seeing like the shape I got myself in, and thought, you know what, I don't know whether I really thought I'd be in this kind of shape again, or because of the gap I'd had before the fight. So I was like sort of patting myself on the back, thinking, I know what, I've worked hard for this, and then goes into the fight, and then what happened? Like, clash of heads in round 2. What made the heat start swelling? I could feel it throbbing from then onwards, and I knew something was up because every round Paul was pressing an ice pack on the side of my head as I was listening to Joe. And where I've had that many perforations in my right ear, I can't really hear me. Hearing's terrible in my right ear. So like he was holding this on my left, and I was sort of like lip reading Joe because I was thinking like, I can't, something's up here. And then obviously what happened, it tore off, and then I'm sitting in the ambulance after the fight, just thinking like, how's this my luck here? You know, I've ended up in an ambulance with me and I'm off, you know. And I was like feeling sorry for myself a bit in there, just thinking like, oh, I'm done with this. No one of them. But I think in the long run, I can look back at it and just put it down to again something I couldn't really control, and it's just one of them. Probably adds to the memories, doesn't it?
Stephen, obviously, yourself, Paul, Liam, Callum, you've achieved a great lot during your careers. What's it been like traveling the world and supporting each other there?
You know what? Unbelievable. I always say I'm very, very lucky to be from the family I'm from. In terms of the boxing side, more so because I can't imagine going through this career without them. Do you know what I mean? Like being on my own, like especially someone who questions themselves or whatever, or someone who's not very mentally strong. I couldn't imagine them getting through how to get through the careers with the doubts that you get and the doubts that creep in, and even regarding just like making weight, things that happen with fights getting delayed and stuff, and having my brothers always all been through it or something. Every experience I've had in my career, it's usually happened to one of my brothers before, or they've been through it. Paul being older than me, like fights being delayed, cancelled. He's been there and he's like, yeah, listen, go and have a week off, go and do this. And, even down to like little things like feeling flat in the gym, coming home and one of them will go, Swift, have 2 days off. And I'm like, what? And they're like, just rest for 2 days. And little pointers and little bits of guidance are good, having people so close to you that have been through it and are going through it with you. So yeah, like, I'm so thankful that I've got them and always had them there. But I couldn't imagine if they wasn't. I don't think I'd done half as well.
What were you all like growing up with regards to boxing? So when you was maybe young boys, when you was only maybe all in and around, say, from 15 down to
Yeah.
kind of be the youngest, what were you all like? Were you all getting into fights in the back garden with each other? Were you all just messing about? What was it like?
No, every day we'd run home from school and the first two in, get the gloves on. Even down like when we were probably younger, we only had one pair of gloves. We didn't have like one hand on each, and the other hand we used to wrap like a tea towel around our hands. And as we started the boxing, we obviously got more and more pairs of boxing gloves, and we'd have gloves on. And the first two in would be on, like I'd be fighting, and the next one in would be like the ref, and he'd be next on. Do you know what I mean? And we just like have winners stay on, and we'd be sparring all the time until basically we had the key go in the door. And once my mum come in, we'd all like sit down and hide the gloves and pretend we haven't been boxing. We'd have all red faces and that. And she used to look at us and say, "You've been boxing," and we'd be like, "That, no." But it was just the norm for us. All we ever done. We just boxed all the time, and it obviously ends up paying off a bit.
Stephen, I don't know whether you guys have thought about it or not. Obviously, with Paul retiring now, you making it official, Callum giving it one last kind of push up at light heavyweight now. Liam's looking for one final big opportunity himself. Have you guys started to talk about or think about how your era of the Smith brothers is gradually coming towards an end?
No, we haven't really talked about it coming to an end, but a lot of people sort of always say to us, it'll only be sort of seen and respected as much as it should, what we're doing and what we've done when it's over. It's the same with everyone. I think everyone always sort of gets like the accolades once they're done. And I think if it's Callum who's last, it'll probably be Liam. Liam will be fighting when he's 40. I think he's just, he loves it. But whoever's last to retire out of us, I think once the last one retires, I think a lot of people then will sort of look back at what we've done and be a little bit more fond and more congratulatory of it, like in terms of the achievement. I don't think it'll ever be done again. Four brothers, all British champions, and all fighting for world honours, and two of them being world champion. I think it's a very special achievement, and it'll only be sort of recognised more when we're finished.
Just to touch on Liam and Callum, just on Callum in particular, well, not in particular, but firstly, since the Canelo fight, he certainly kept himself to himself. He stayed out of the limelight. He hasn't done many interviews or what have you. How has he reacted to that defeat? Has he been quieter, or is he just looking to step away for a bit?
Callum can't really get quiet. Callum's quiet always, as you know. That's just him. He's probably preferred it being the way it is. He doesn't really like the interviews stuff. As you know him personally, and he's not like quiet for show. It's just how he is. And when you get to know him, you get like he's funny and stuff, but he's not really into all the interviews and that anyway. So yeah, going back to the Canelo, yeah, it hurt him. Listen, he's a winner, and you don't get to where he got without being a winner, and no one likes losing, and it hurt him. I remember seeing him in the change rooms after the fight, and just the look on his face, being his elder brother, it killed me seeing him down. But I was immensely proud of him. obviously the injury what he had, people seen it with their own eyes, the arm, it was completely sore. And it was, he's in with Canelo, so it was been so easy for him to just to say, look, I'm injured, get me out. And there was a way out for him because of easily pulled out in the corner. No one's really said anything because seeing the injury. People pull out with injuries all the time, but he never, he stuck it out and he showed his bottle and his bravery and his skill and class to stay in there with someone that good anyway and see the 12 rounds out, one arm basically. So good on him. He's done what he's done, but that's not all what he's about. He wants to go and achieve his own goals. He's not in there just to say he fought Canelo. He wants to go on now and be a 2-weight world champion, and got every faith that he can go and do it. But it's on him now. He's let himself heal. He's let his arm heal. Now he's back training and he feels ready to go for it. And we're all behind him.
And Stephen, in Liam's case, a controversial defeat recently to Magomed Kurbanov. You guys obviously out there.
Yeah.
First, just to start off with that, what did you guys make of it being out there and seeing the scorecards?
Do you know what it was? It was just, it is what it is. You've seen what happened, and the Russians were all like, promising, oh, we'll get a fair crack at it and stuff. And you're always having the back of your mind, don't you? But when we got there, they were all nice enough. Everyone's seats was well enough, and it was a nice enough place. Gets to the fight, but we were noticing in the week in the build up, there was a lot going on about this, like the day what it was on. This, it's a big day in Russia, and for all like Nazi Germany and stuff like that. And it was a bit like, I don't know why it's getting made this about this when it's about the fight. Do you know what I mean? And it was one of them looking back. He was never going to lose on that day, and they were going to make sure of that. It was about a celebration in their country, so they weren't going to have him losing. And again, it's easy looking back in hindsight, but looking back at it was quite obvious. And when the fight was going on, it was sort of similar how we thought it would be. But when it got to the end and the scores got read out, and when they read that wide card out, I think we all asked them concerns and we knew what was coming. I did never see them giving it to Liam by a wide margin. I thought once that scorecard come out, I thought, nah, he hasn't got this. They've gone against him. And again, looking back, whether he gets the rematch, I don't know. I think they sort of, got very lucky and said with the decision, and I think they'll run with it. Now that they're making up like on certain interviews, putting sound bites out that they'll come to England and that, but I can't see it, but we'll see. I feel for Liam in terms of, he got in there, he done his job, he won the fight, and everyone's opinion. I haven't heard no one say he lost the fight, so he's got in, won the fight, but yeah, it's the fact that them judges have robbed him. It seemed to put him back because all the fights where he was talking about next and stuff like that don't seem to be materialising now because they've seen it as he's lost, and everyone else knows he didn't lose. So I feel for him in terms of that, and I hope something happens where he does still get an opportunity, or he does get Kurbanov back in the ring, but it's easier said than done.
For you guys as his brothers, what's it been like to see him throughout this past 2 years or so? Because he's been after a big fight for a while. The Jesse Vargas fight's been mentioned for comfortably about 18 months now. Cal Brook, same period roughly. For you guys, why do you think it is that he hasn't been able to just get one of those fights?
I don't know. I don't think anyone sort of. It's one of them when you can be a bit too good for your own good in terms of, getting a voluntary defence. If you're a world champion, you can pick a voluntary. You can go and pick anyone. You pick a voluntary, you're going to look good against. I can't see many people, and this is not just saying because he's my brother, but I can't see many people picking Liam Smith as a fight where I'll win and I'll look good against him, because you fight Liam Smith, you're in for the fight, and you're gonna have to go and win it. He's gonna be there, he's gonna be coming at you, he's tough, he's strong, and he throws a lot of punches, and he loves a fight. You've seen how much he's smiling in the ring, he loves to fight. So would I be picking him for the voluntary? Not a chance. And I understand that, that's why people aren't. So getting the fight's probably not as easy for him because everyone knows how tough it'll be to beat him and how hard to beat he is. But regarding the big fights, what sort of money talks, and they usually happen, he just seems to be having a bit of bad luck in terms of, like, I think Kell Brook was coming the end of his career and he just wanted the one big money payday where, he's chased Khan for so long, and sort of he probably seen that with Liam and thought, nah, not for me. And the Vargas one, I don't know. Jesse Vargas has seen him in Texas, and he was sort of like, yeah, you know what, I'd love to fight, and he's saying all the right things. He wants to fight, Liam wants to fight, but for some reason it's not happening. So I don't know. They need to sort of, you know, get it made. Whoever's going to make the fight and get it happening, because we've seen what happened with too many people, where too many times fights are talked about, fights are, you know, spoken from both sides, both fighters want to fight and stuff, and then it never happens. So it'd be a shame if Liam didn't get the big fight what he deserves, and hopefully he will do, and it can be as soon as possible. I know this COVID hasn't helped anyone, but with a bit of luck, things are looking a little bit more normal now, with, you know, getting fans back in. So no, there's no reason why it can't happen.
Stephen, just a few more questions from me before I do leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. One of those being Anthony Crolla, as you guys called him, the fifth brother, your fifth brother. What's it been like to make a friend or build a relationship like you have with Anthony in boxing? And talk to me about how close he is with you guys.
I've known Crolla for years through boxing anyway. We won the ABAs together. I won the ABAs at Feather the same year he won them at lightweight. So I literally got out the ring that he was getting in. I wish him good luck and stuff. He's always been a lovely, lovely lad. And as everyone knows who knows him, how nice he is. You know, it's not an act with him, but it goes back to, like, I used to spar with him. I mean, the amateurs, obviously, and then in the pros, when he was with Farnell, I'd go up the gym and spar with him. And then when he moved to Joe, I was using Crolla for sparring when I had the Simpson fight. He come down and was sparring me then, and I remember seeing the improvements in him when he comes down. I was thinking, like, wow, the strength of him and stuff, you know, when the Simpson fight, and the improvements in Crolla was probably a big reason why I ended up going to Joe. Goes up to Joe, and I knew I had him to spar with all the time, you know, as well as like the Murrays and stuff, and other people who've now come to the gym after myself, but. I knew I had good sparring when I went up there and on a daily basis. So I went up, and I've obviously spent the time training with him. And now, and only when I've been training with him, I've seen how hard he works and how good he trains, and how good, you know, how much he's come on, you know, becoming a world champion. You know, every credit to him, and he's a lovely lad, and he's so close to all of us, as well as my family, you know, my parents and all that. He's genuinely is the fifth Smith.
Stephen, obviously looping back to yourself, what is next? Have you thought about what you're going to do now you have officially made that announcement?
No idea. I don't know. I always said I might do this and I might do that, but now it's sort of crept up on me. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Obviously, I've got to think fast, but I don't know. As long as I'm doing something I enjoy, and I don't mind, and, you know, the bills are getting paid. That's all you can do, isn't it?
Would you entertain a YouTuber? A bit of an exhibition bout?
Oh, it's out it, mate. It's out that. Unless you're offering me one, I'll fight you, like.
Go on with smoke, mate. Stephen, listen, I appreciate you doing this interview today. I will leave you now to enjoy it. I just want a final word from yourself, for obviously everybody who supported you, followed you throughout your career and your journey. Just, final message to everybody who has given you some form of support.
I just thank you so much. You know, whether you watch me once or you know, travel the world watching me, it meant a lot. People are paying their own money to go to shows and you know, buying the tickets. So it never went unnoticed. I really, you know, means a lot to me, and everyone else also, you know, people who are trained with, people who are for, people who, you know, who went away on trips with back in the amateurs, just everyone, you know, boxing's been really good to me, and I'm very happy and very thankful for the people I've met, and, you know, the career I had. So just again, thank you to everyone.
Right, Stephen, like I say, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. I will certainly keep in touch. I'm sure I'll still be pestering you for interviews in the years to come. I appreciate your time, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy retirement, and thanks for speaking to Boxing Social.
Nice one, mate.